A couple of weeks ago, I made a video where I gave you my initial impressions on the finalists of the Team Liquid map contest. In case you're unfamiliar, the TLMC, it's a tournament that's held every once in a while, where basically anyone in the StarCraft 2 community can create their own 1v1 map. Then they can submit it to one of the TLMC, I think there were like 5 different categories or so. Then the best games, or the best maps rather, will be judged by a jury. Then of course there's games that are being played on the maps as well by pro players in a tournament. And then eventually the winners of the TLMC are announced. It's a pretty elaborate process, but let's be honest, the maps are incredibly important when it comes to the balance of the game. Now, usually, the winners of these tournaments, they are at some point used as well on the StarCraft 2 ladder, and with that in StarCraft 2 tournaments too. So I figured we should definitely have a look at the best maps from the TLMC at number 16, because there's a good chance that these maps will be played at the professional level in regular tournaments very, very soon. So the overall winner for the 16th edition of the Team Liquid map contest is a map called a Waterfall. Waterfall was made by Superhuman, and while that might not necessarily ring a bell, he's made Beckett Industries, Cloud Kingdom, Eternal Empire, Purity in Industry, Turbo Cruise 84, Zen, and then my personal favorite, Golden Wool. Basically, Superhuman, he's been making maps for like a decade, and he's got like nearly a dozen maps in the map pool of StarCraft 2 historically, so definitely someone you want to keep an eye out on, I suppose. And I mean, this is certainly a map that we should expect on the ladder at some point in the future. Now, over the next couple of days, I want to feature the best maps from this particular event as well. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to do so you get notified as soon as those videos go up. Because I do want to feature, I want to say at least like the top 3 or so from the tournament, right? So anyways, Waterfall LE. Before we look around, let us introduce the players. So in the top right-hand corner of Waterfall, I've always got to look at the bottom left-hand corner whenever I introduce a new map. Anyways, with the red Protoss probes from Poland, we have MaNa. Currently, according to Elazer, the rank 40 in the world overall. And his opponent with the orange Zerg drones, also actually from Poland, so these guys are countrymen. Anyways, we have none other than Elazer. And Elazer is currently considered to be the rank 21. Now, I picked a Zerg versus Protoss, specifically for this very first one, in this little mini-series of videos I want to make, just because, well, we gotta look around a little bit, and I gotta introduce what's going on. In Zerg versus Protoss early game, especially when Protoss goes for a Stargate, it is very well figured out. So, I think we have a little bit of time to look around the map and, well, have a quick little look at the defining characteristics. So the map is called Waterfall, right? Let's start there. Hey, look at that. The top left-hand corner. There's actually another one as well on the bottom right. This is probably my favorite section of the map. Thank you to the Zergling right here for running over that. There's this river that flows from the top left-hand corner of the map all the way towards the bottom right. And usually we don't really see rivers all too often in StarCraft 2. I'm not sure, because it's kind of beautiful, right? Anyways, there's these glass panels over here that also is not something we see all too often. We obviously have that in the current map pool as well on Pride of Altaris. But I don't really know how it works out with creep spread. I would like to see a creep tumor go over these, I guess, glass bridges. Maybe that's something that Elazer can show us as this game progresses. Either way, the river, we can follow it down, and there's a couple of areas where you can cross. I don't really recall seeing this in any of the previous StarCraft 2 maps. Maybe I'm mistaken, but this is not something that we see all too often, right? At the very least, this river is extremely prominent. And even though the map should have probably been called Waterfalls rather than just Waterfall, it is it is a pretty descriptive map name, and obviously a million times better than like Jagannatha or Jagannatha. Even after like that map being around for like a year, I still didn't know how to pronounce it. Anyways, so there's 2 options for your third base. Main base, quite large, but pretty normal. Natural Expo, pretty normal as well. There's an unbuildable plate right here to prevent cannon rushes and bunker rushes and whatnot at the bottom of that ramp. There's a little Overlord pillar. Obviously, it's mirrored, by the way, so wouldn't be surprised if, I guess, the Overlord was already killed there by the Void Ray. Yeah, it's got 1 confirmed kill. Anyways, wouldn't be a surprise at all to see Overlords hiding on those pillars. So, main base, natural expansion, relatively normal. I would say the craziest part of this map is probably this massive ledge. Like, I can already imagine a siege tank or 2 sitting on the edge right here and just blasting away at units that try to attack in that direction. Obviously, you can use the same thing right over here if the opponent decides to come in through that choke point instead. I mean, there is some potential there. Anyways, we see Elazer taking this, like, triangle base as his third. Whereas MaNa has taken, I guess, the horizontal base as his third. So this is definitely not that far apart. Yeah, a creep tumor is already spreading in that direction. There is a lair starting up. I was going to say, maybe Elazer wants to go for like a queen march or something along those lines. You could still definitely do it as well with a lair, but generally speaking, we see a push taken at hatchery tech. Although the queens seem to be going to the front. Oh, you know what? I think we are going to go for a push. Although I'm not sure where these two queens are going. They're going to arrive after the battle, I'm pretty sure. Anyhow. Overall, my initial impressions of this map are very positive. It looks great. Map layout is a little bit different than what we normally see, but nothing out of the ordinary. Which is why I think it's probably been chosen as a map for... or as the winner, I suppose, of the TLMC. Just because, generally speaking, the more standard maps do better. I mean, I'm with you as a StarCraft 2 caster that I don't mind seeing the crazy stuff as well, but there's no denying that the pro players... I mean, this game is hard enough as it is, right? They don't really enjoy playing on the crazy stuff all too often. Anyways, couple of Zerglings right here at the third base. Where is Elazer gonna push? Going up that high ground over here is quite tricky, but obviously MaNa right now has to choose where he wants to put his static defense. Biles right there will finish up the Adept that was holding the wall there for now. Couple of photon cannons over here. Shield batteries are coming up too. Queens obviously have a lot of transfusion energy, so Elazer is keeping these alive very smoothly. And honestly, I'm a little bit concerned right here for MaNa. Protoss, of course, especially on new maps, needs a little bit of time to figure out what the perfect way of playing is. Especially when it comes to, like, structure placement and all that. And apparently Elazer has no chill. He's like, you know what? We're playing on a new map, but there's money on the line for this tournament. I don't care. You gotta position your structures perfectly, or I'm gonna try and attack you. Obviously, Elazer also doesn't know what the best way of attacking is on a map like this. Anyways, he's now breaking into the natural expansion of the Protoss player. MaNa still with a ton of Void Rays up in the air, though. Has he lost any of them yet? Nope. No Voids going down just yet. There are more Queens sent across the map, too. This does mean that MaNa could go for a counterattack. Because there's not going to be that much in the main base, I guess, of the Zerg player to defend against anything. Okay. Huge stasis ward over at the third base. That's going to slow down the economy of the Zerg player quite a bit. Natural expansion will be killed. It's just that pushing the Queens into the main base is very tricky. Fleet Beacon comes up here as well for MaNa. He did lose 5 workers, but that's honestly not that much. Elazer obviously has cut his own eco down as well for quite some time. Alright, so this is apparently the moment where MaNa decides to make a beeline for the Zerg side of the map. He's seen additional Queens trickling in on his own natural, so he probably assumes that there's not going to be that much available for the Zerg player at home, and he would be correct. There's 4 Queens or so, a couple of Spore Crawlers desperately put down right now. The Queens on the other side of the map aren't really going to have a chance to go across. I mean, they could go back, but that would take forever. And I also don't really see them running into the main base of... I mean, you could go into the main base of Protoss, but keep in mind, MaNa can always go back home. He's even got himself the Fleet Beacon upgrade coming up right now that will give those Void Rays some more speed. Spore Crawlers in the main base, not built in time. There's a Stasis Ward here on the high ground. Will be denied, but already so much damage is being done. MaNa going in with a full-on counterattack. I was thinking he could go back with recalling, by the way, but I guess, you know, this would work out quite well as well. Yeah, Elazer thinking about going back, but until those creep tumors touch the Queen's feet, I guess the Queens are going to be incredibly slow. A Tempest is even being built. Zerg players these days are completely skipping Hydras. So it's going to be a Spire as the straight-up option here. Even that Oracle now from earlier dealing a lot of damage. And this is what happens, I suppose, when you don't lose those Voids. At the same time, Brenda, Karen, Margaret, Lily, Susan, all the Queens... They're slow off creep. They might need a cane to walk a little bit more steadily, but they have made their way into the main base of the Protoss eventually. Tempest, though. I quite like the Tempest, actually. Tempest should be able to kill everything here. Now, that was the biggest F2A move that I've seen in a while. Actually, no, we saw that from Zest as well a few days ago, where the Oracles just simply fly straight over the entire army. At this point, though, yeah, the Queens are in an awkward spot. As long as the micro here is correct, I think MaNa should be able to hold on. I mean, this is a one-way trip for the Queens. Tempest continuously dealing damage. Cybercore coming up on the right side of the main base as well. Zerg, by the way, only at 23 workers. Protoss now has more probes than the Zerg player has. And this is turning out to be quite the crazy game here. I'm not exactly sure who can end up winning this now. I'm fairly certain that Protoss should be able to defend the main base eventually, because the queens are out of energy very soon. They also don't really kill structures particularly quick. Yeah, I think this will all be cleaned up. That Stargate will likely be killed. Another Tempest will soon be available too. And then we're once again going to talk about the counterattack, okay? MaNa trying to keep the low HP Void Rays alive as well. Sadly does end up losing a few of them. Okay, Tempest number 2 is available. It takes 5 Tempest, or 5 Tempest shots to one-shot a Queen. So normally you want to aim for 5 of them, but 2 I guess is better than none, huh? Alright. Already, one very adventurous probe goes down towards the low ground and plants down the natural expo once again. And the Void Rays are across the map. Now, there's a lot of queens here. Okay, careful now, Mr. MaNa. Obviously, though, these Void Rays are fast, right? And yeah, Elazer is not in the right place at the right time. Then again, the main base was already destroyed earlier. I was thinking that maybe Zerg could go and lose, or they could eventually lose the main base here, but maybe that's not the case. Because it's already dead. Anyways, losing a spawning pool still kind of sucks, especially because you do need a spawning pool to actually make queens. So I think Elazer is going to have to put down a new one. It's actually kind of awkward because you don't realize it, but spawning pools take a surprisingly long time to build if you lose it. Corruptors right now go across the map as well. I guess they're hunting down the Tempests. Yeah, makes sense. Tempests are extremely expensive units. And they're not very good at dealing with these units at all. Yeah, so the Tempest will be killed. At the same time, though, okay, the Void Rays are working on their own. And they're going to be able to kill that hatch. I think that a Roach Warren probably will be killed as well. Yep. Can we kill it, please? Oh, it's just going to bleed out. All right. Very dramatic right there, MaNa. Corruptors do have a spell. Yeah, Caustic Spray here. It's going to take one Corruptor a little bit of time before it will be able to kill the Nexus. Especially if there's a shield battery helping out. But this is forcing the recall right now, right? So the natural, by the way, I think was already cancelled right there. Or maybe even killed. No, 2 Nexi have gone down. So I guess it was a cancel. Anyways, that's why the rest of these Corruptors aren't using it. Battery overcharge being used as well as soon as the Tempest pops out. Natural Expo will be cancelled a second time as well, if I'm not mistaken. Although, no, apparently the Void Rays are here to save the day. Prismatic alignment on these Voids obviously is very nice. And while Corruptors are fast, these bad boys do have the speedy upgrade. Nice micro there once again by the Protoss player, keeping these units alive. It's hard to pinpoint exactly which of them is being attacked, and it's easy to accidentally pull back a full HP Void. Alright, so far, 4 Void Rays only have gone down. And you can see the cost efficiency right here of our Protoss player is quite significant. MaNa, though, had so much money in the bank that he decided to just double Expo. He also has, well, even after the transfer to the natural, he still is oversaturating the main base. He needs to keep on the pressure. But it's going to be hard to do so, as there's still so much creep spread available, right? I'm a little bit concerned, I guess, for when this creep eventually reaches the natural or the third base of the Protoss player, because it's not going to be easy to stop it. Although I guess you can't actually spread creep through... Can you do that? Oh, I thought this was like a site blocker over here, but I guess it isn't. Nah, it's not. It's just a river. It looks so funny. I thought it was like the tall grass right over there. You needed vision to be able to put a creep tumor in the middle and then vision again on the other side, but that's not what it is. The one hero Tempest, by the way, forcing the cancel. Nice moves by MaNa, making the best of this rough situation for him. Protoss here is a little bit concerned that at some point there's going to be like 20 Corruptors out, and at that point these Void Rays just can't really do much. 2 Tempests over here, dude. Look at this. Alright. I've got a feeling that eventually there's probably going to be enough for the Zerg player to push all of this back pretty comfortably. I think he should have recalled. Yeah. I think he should still recall, man. He's probably hoping that these Corruptors may be distracted at some point. But that is like, what, 4 Tempests now going down in one game? Yeah. Those Tempests make up like half the losses of our Protoss player, man. So expensive. It decides to add on more. I'm not sure if I like the Tempest tool too much. Although I guess the idea is that as soon as you see that your opponent is still making Corruptors, right? Tempest can still be quite helpful, and if it really means that there's critical mass of Corruptors, you can always go back into the Void Rays. I'm just thinking that there is the potential here for a Zerg push with Queens and Corruptors. Not a unit composition we see all too often, but I know that Mr. Elazer has been playing a style where you go 88 drones, 8 gases, and then you go, I think it's 8 gas or 10 gas, and then you go Roach Ravager, Queen, Corruptor, which is a unique unit composition, but supposedly it hits like a truck. I've been trying to play it in some of my own games as well. It's like a more advanced version of the Queen Walk, significantly harder to micro as well, and while maybe Elazer can't build up to 88 drones here, there certainly is a potential for that unit comp. Right, the Queens can transfuse the Corruptors. The Corruptors, you can basically have them kill anything, and then at that point, the Roaches and the Queens can just sort of, yeah, work on the rest of this. I don't like it, man. I think Elazer may have gotten a glimpse as well of those Tempests in the top left. I feel like MaNa is slowly getting pushed with his back up against the wall. It's, by the way, not going to be that army comp. Instead, it's going to be a transition right now towards Infestors. I guess Elazer is looking at the very adventurous Corruptors and he realizes, wait a second, what if I just freaking fungal you? See how you like it. Third Stargate, by the way, comes up as well for MaNa. I'm a little bit concerned we're going to just see a massive Zerg push towards the other side of the map. I mean, keep in mind, the main base, right, it's been mining all this time. So even though this is technically 3 base Protoss, theoretically it's more or less just 2 base income. 6 Infestors coming up, well-timed as well here by Elazer, right around the same time as that upgrade finishes. So they will spawn with that additional energy boost that the Patenting Glance gives to those Infestors. I want to see creep right over here, man. I want to see creep on the little bridge. Can you please... I guess the Zealot here is trying to prevent that from happening. Maybe we can see creep tumors towards this side instead. There is another tumor here on the left as well. Neural Parasite, okay. Elazer just wants to take control of the entirety of the Protoss army, I suppose. Yeah, he's soon gonna have 9 Infestors. And there's 9 Void Rays. Imagine the entire Void Ray army here switching sites for like 10 seconds. That would be a bit of a disaster for Protoss. Hey, so far this map seems to be working like a charm, right? It feels like a comfortable map that's different enough without being all too crazy. That's a little bit awkward. You're not a Zealot, I swear! It's like, no, I am! I'm definitely not a Changeling! Let's try to kill him, man. Anyways, on the left side of the map in the meantime right now. Ooh, the Corruptors get caught. Nice moves right here by MaNa. Careful now. Ooh, God, fungal growth. Okay, that was way too ambitious. Tempest, though, still take a while to kill, and this time around the recall is at the appropriate moment. Okay, I thought for a second he was going to try and hunt down the Void Rays, but not quite happening. Elazer, by the way, comfortably taking the base right here on the left side as well, so he is getting closer and closer to the Protoss. At this rate, he's going to be taking this base as well, and then they're going to be next door neighbors. I want to see, can you, yeah. I think you can just spread creep over it, just like the water in the middle. That was my main concern, I think, when I gave you my initial impressions of the map. I mean, what if you can't spread through the water? Or you can't spread over those, you know, maybe that's my Zerg bias kicking in. But, it works out just, yeah, very cleanly. Nice. 4th base comes up here for MaNa. The most dangerous move so far he's made this game. Still, no observers out, so the creep spread is getting out of control. This is one hell of a staging ground, though, for Zerg, right? Imagine Spore Crawlers down here. You could choose the natural 3rd main. You can go wherever you like. Infestor, Viper, Queen, Corruptor, Spore Crawler. So Elazer is playing very safe. I don't actually know if I like that all too much, to be honest. I mean, we found out a few days ago in that that crazy Bjal versus Prince game, if I'm not mistaken. I have to think of the Protoss player. Anyways, we saw Bjal playing an exceptionally passive game of Zerg, where he basically was super happy just kind of turtling up on 1 or 2 bases and getting very little income, just sitting there on his Spore Crawlers waiting for his opponent to make a mistake. It's just that, like, it's super easy to accidentally miscontrol that army. So even though I theoretically like what Elazer is doing, I've personally fat-fingered my hotkeys quite a bit. And it's super easy to still accidentally lose the game from here. MaNa, of course, is now given all the time in the world to do whatever he likes, right? And soon he's going to have 8 gases, yeah. That's super nice for him. He's going into the Psionic Storm upgrade as well. I'm wondering if Elazer is not giving MaNa a little bit too much time here. Double Disruptor play coming up. Okay, I like that. High Templar, of course, with Psionic Storm. I like that as well. Not an easy composition for Protoss to micro either, but definitely something that has a lot of potential. Zerg also needs to be careful to not get too carried away on dealing with the air units of Protoss, because this is a very strong army against flying Protoss units. But MaNa doesn't have to stick around with flying units. I mean, he probably wants to have a forts in the Twilight Council, though, if he wants to transition towards anything else, but... Not sure what these creep tumors are doing. Do you think I can spread tumors or creep right here from that side to the other side of the river? We'll go down to the river. Anyways, I won't be singing for you. Apparently I already have. Dang it. Rookie mistake, Lowko. Yeah, very ballsy group of Void Rays here. He knows very well that there might be an infestor burrowed on the ground, and even though the observers can't spot it, it's very easy to accidentally miss. MaNa now going for the 5th base too. Ultra Cavern coming up. There's a Greater Spire. There's a Baneling Nest. Elazer is basically just smashing his piggy bank and he's buying whatever he likes. But if you look right here at the resources that he actually has, yeah, he's near maxed out, but he doesn't have much of a bank. Alright, well that's nice though. Yeah, that's really nicely done. Snatching up a couple of those units in the middle of the map. That's a lot of changelings dying very quickly. Okay, there's the Brute Lords. Brute Lords are the ultimate counter to Protoss ground units. A lot of people are saying that Lurkers are that, but honestly, I don't think they are. I don't really see a lot of players playing Lurkers in the late game against Protoss. I think the Brute Lords, like literally like 10 or so Brute Lords, 6 to 10. Normally we see about 8. Yeah, there's 8. It's enough to essentially counter any group of Protoss ground unit, it seems, other than like 100 Stalkers. But like a standard Archon Immortal Zealot Storm type of mid-game army, that sort of force is killed by 8 Brute Lords. So you can easily kill, with like 20 supply worth of Zerg, you can easily kill, you know, 100 supply worth of Protoss if Protoss is not paying attention. So that's probably the reason why Elazer is adding those units on, just to prevent the Protoss from going for that ground army, or at the very least making that transition much harder. Apparently Elazer is just playing a macro simulator, man. I was actually talking to Elazer at Home Story Cup, or Stay at Home Story Cup a few months ago. And he mentioned that he now practices most of his games against the very easy AI. He doesn't actually play ladder games because he apparently just plays the same people over and over and over again, and he doesn't really like it. So apparently a lot of his practice these days just comes from playing against the very easy AI, where he just practices macro. And so far, it seems to be exactly what he's doing here, right, as a follow-up. Apparently, he's super comfortable just playing the macro simulator. It's just that the very easy AI doesn't necessarily have the best, you know, micro in the world in the late game. So he's definitely got to practice against some real players as well. But right now, he's covered the majority of the map in creep. MaNa has been given so much time. So now he's going into charge, +1 melee. He's going into, or I guess, +1 ground weapons. He's going into the Nexus here as well with the Mothership. That's going to be the final piece of the puzzle here for Mr. MaNa. These bases, by the way, are near impossible to acquire, right? Yeah, there's another... Well, I guess this one can be acquired by the Zerg right now. That's a high-yield gas. That gives you 8 gas a trip rather than a conventional 4. But there's only 1 gas on the base. Fungal! Oh no, Neural Parasite, maybe even worse. I'm a little afraid we're just seeing a very slow and painful Protoss death. Don't count MaNa out though. But I feel like most of it comes down to Zerg making a micro error. Which, again, is easily done. He's only got 1 Viper here, which I don't really like all too much either, but... Yeah, he's making a couple more. Theoretically speaking, it shouldn't really happen. I haven't seen Elazer play too much late game recently. I haven't really looked at a whole lot of his games, if I'm being honest with you. So we'll see how comfortable he is, and I guess this will give us a good indication. I mean, that's one way, right? Imagine one of those disruptor hits. That's the mistake I'm talking about, or one of the many mistakes. One of the disruptor hits could take down an entire group of infestors, and then suddenly MaNa can collapse. Maybe the queens? They're going bowling. Oh, yep. 3 pins down. Well done. Not going for the spare there with the second roll, but... Here's the Mama ship. So we have High Templar, Tempest, Oracle, Void Ray, Disruptor, Mothership. That's about as complex an army as you can get. So there's multiple groups of units here, right? So you can use the Tempest here together with the Oracle, as well as the Observers, to get rid of all of those Spore Crawlers, right? Then the High Templar, with their Psionic Storm ability, can deal with the Zerg Flyers, as well as the ground units. Plus, they can obviously deal damage to with feedback to all of the Zerg Spellcasters. Then the Void Rays, I mean, we don't see any Tempest here. Maybe he's doing the no Tempest challenge. I'm not sure why. I've seen Neep play that quite a bit, but I feel like Tempest are not as good as... Oh, God. Oof. Not as good as carriers. Anyways, there's a lot of moving parts in this Protoss army as well. I know a lot of Zerg players will look at this and be like, F2, A move. Not how it works, Zerg players. I mean, it works kind of well, but not that great. No, you're gonna end up getting smashed if you do that. Ultras, by the way, in the top section of the map. These are soaking up quite a bit of supply. Yeah. Nexus was killed, or at least probes were killed there. MaNa not actually replacing the lost probes with more workers. Instead, he's gonna add on more Void Rays here. Another couple of Oracles. Okay. I really feel like carriers would not be a terrible idea, right? Maybe I'm mistaken. Yeah, the main way in which Protoss here can get action is with Revelation, used by those Oracles, and then the Tempest shooting at their maximum distance. So right now he's got vision right there of those Spore Crawlers. Tempest normally can shoot further away than they can see, but with that Revelation ability, especially with the anti-air... Oh, he's going for the Flyers. Or the anti-building upgrade that they have. It's got a lot of potential. MaNa right now at 10,000 resources in the bank as well. Elazer with a little bit less. I mean, yeah, now he's got 10k. Anyways, what I'm getting at though is that this is a better situation than I thought our Protoss player would be in at this point. Because there wasn't really that much for the Zerg player, or for the Protoss player to do other than cross their fingers and hope that the Zerg wouldn't attack. Microbial Shrouds. Alright. Come on, MaNa, you can do it. Fade away, put your back into it. I like the Tempest here, or the shield batteries right here at the edge of that creep. A couple of Banelings here being a nuisance as well. I miss those, but... MaNa losing workers. Slowly losing eco. But I mean, do you really want to have 41 workers at this stage in the game? I mean, you want to have a couple so you can actually mine. It's the first game I'm going to see on Waterfall, by the way. A game where, like, the entire map mines out. Because it feels like it, right? Mothership here with its cloaking ability as well can cloak these units, although the Overseers obviously are detectors. That Viper, like, did you see that abduction? I don't know what it abducted. It abducted nothing. 5 more Tempests coming up. We have 6 Stargates. Not bad. Yeah. This is really good for Protoss, right? Every time these things, like, fire, they deal damage. You gotta be careful that you don't overextend and, like, get, you know, fungled, but... Alright, nicely done there by MaNa. He's broken out of that chokehold of the Zerg. In the meantime, though, Zerg has been fighting... I don't think he realized that there's a high-yield gas right over there. Anyways, the Zerg player has taken the top left-hand corner. I guess he's got enough gas anyways. He doesn't really care. I like this map a lot. Yeah. It looks great, right? I'm not really seeing any major issues with it. Some of the other maps, I think this was in the macro category, was it? Or was it the rush category? Which I know is the exact opposite. Anyways, what I was trying to say is that, like, in the category that this map was in, I don't remember exactly which one it was. But, I liked it a lot more than the others in that same category. For good reason. Anyways, Banelings, by the way, once again killed 9 probes, but it doesn't matter. We don't care about workers anymore. MaNa just needs 1 base. I mean, losing the Stargates, I guess, would suck. Okay, so these last couple of trades have looked quite a bit better, though, for Protoss. If you look right here at the resources lost, Zerg has lost way more than Zerg. Or... Zerg has lost way more than Zerg, professional commentator. The creep spread is getting a little ridiculous, though. And soon Protoss is gonna run out. I guess he probably wants to make a move for this base. Zerg right now, even taking the base that was previously the Protoss' 3rd. He must have just missed this one, man. He must have just not seen it. Which is the downside of new maps. It's so obvious, right? When you pay attention as an observer. But it's very easy to miss things when you're playing. By the way, we now have 15 Tempest. Yeah, I don't like it. That's too many, isn't it? Like, there's some crazy overkills going on here as well. Yeah, I think you want to just attack move. Let them kill whatever they can reach. So the Void Rays were just destroyed by these Corruptors. Okay. Tempest don't really care about 1 fungal. I think he's playing the no carrier challenge. I don't know. Yeah, now it's becoming an issue, though. Losing the 3rd base, not that big of a deal. Losing the 4th base, losing some probes and all that, not that big of a deal. But now we're getting into the natural and the production of the Protoss, which is not... Yeah, you don't want to lose the tech. You don't want to lose all of this stuff. Maybe a round of photon cannons here wouldn't be bad, although... Yeah, Elazer mixes in more and more ultras. It's quite difficult at this stage in the game as well to dedicate that much of an army supply to units that aren't actually good in the main battle. I think he wants to go for this one. It makes the most sense. I like the addition here of Archons as well. Archons are good against Corruptors, if they can get underneath. There's 4 Ultras, though, on their way soon enough. Corruptors here are already waiting for additional Protoss units to come in this direction. My god, is that a lot of spores. 52 Spore Crawlers, are you kidding me? I don't know who wins this, man. I'm assuming it's still Elazer, right? But then I look at the banks. MaNa mostly has a gas issue. Oh, fungals? Or no, neural parasites once again. Okay, well that was the overextension, right? MaNa happily attacking into a lot of these things. Why are you attacking your own things, bro? Yeah, he's happily pushing into the Zerg bases, and Elazer has kind of allowed it for a little while, but right now it may have been a little bit too much. Prismatic alignment, though, used right here on the Corruptors. Battery overcharge as well. Storms on his own Void Rays. MaNa just ended up losing a huge chunk of his force. Elazer going for the safest game ever. Yeah. I feel like he could have probably won this by 10 minutes. But he's just rubbing salt in the wounds, right? So these guys, they have been competing against each other over in Poland for a very long time. There's definitely a lot of history between them as well. I immediately think that, like, Elazer's doing this on purpose, you know? Where he's like, you know what? I could go and win you, but let me just, like, suffocate you over the next half hour. See how you like it. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into this a little bit too much, but I can 100% imagine Elazer's cheeky smile. He's like, yeah, that was a nice game. I did it, yeah. It hurt a lot. He'll think twice opening up Stargate against me again in the future. Anyways, here we go. Neural Parasites going down once again. Even the Mama ship trying to pop down its little bubble. I guess it's now hurting the own Tempest. Tempest here once again, re-neuraled, and every single one of the Protoss units is getting destroyed. GG is cold. MaNa decides to rip off the band-aid, and eventually, Elazer obtains the victory. Hey, so my initial impressions on Waterfall. This map, it looks great. I think they could introduce it on the ladder right now, and I would love to see it. Yeah. After seeing one game, I think it's a solid 9 out of 10.